Please, if you have Madeline, let her come home to her mummy, daddy, brother and sister.
Was she snatched or did the parents kill her?
Is your working assumption that this is a case of an abduction?
I don't think we can make any assumptions at this stage.
A Spanish-looking woman with an Australian accent that was talking about delivering a child.
We have enough evidence to say our suspect killed Maddie McCann.
This is bigger than anything we imagined.
Charles, you've covered thousands of murder cases, but one that stands out is the case of Maddie McCann. You were the UK correspondent for News Corp, and Maddie McCann goes missing. Tell me about how you get pulled into the story.
In those early days, it was another child, and a lot of children go missing in summer all over Europe, but there was always a sense that this one was somehow different. I think one of the things that made it more of a story than just another missing child was, this is every parent's nightmare. The McCanns were, if I can use this term without sounding crass, were the perfect victims in that they were an upstanding family. They weren't negligent. 2 doctors holidaying with other doctors and their children at a resort owned and run by British people in Portugal, in a very well-known part of the Algarve. I mean, there was nothing to suggest there was anything untoward other than this child had gone missing.
The question now preoccupying police is, did somebody break in? And if so, how did they get through this type of shutter?
Jerry and Kate are the parents. They put their 2 girls to bed, don't they?
They've got twins, and they put the twins to bed, a boy and a girl, Sean and Emily, and then they have Maddie, who is 3 years old, about to turn 4, in fact, and they put all 3 to bed, and then they have dinner. The restaurant was probably about 80 metres away if you were walking. It wasn't like, there's the room just over there. And that also became a critical piece of the case, working against the family. One of the parents would go check on their children, because they weren't the only children left alone in the room. Another one of the parents having dinner with the McCanns would go check their child and would say, oh, we'll check on your children as well. And then at some point, Kate McCann goes to the room, probably about half an hour after the last check, and something in her mind had changed about the room. The curtains were blowing, the blinds were open, there was a door open, something had changed. And that's when she ran out and literally called out to the others saying, someone's taken Maddie. There was another almost perfect line, almost a dingo stole my baby line, that would come back and haunt Kate McCann and Jerry, in that, according to the Portuguese police, it was almost too well rehearsed, almost too well planned, that she would come out and instantly think that, as opposed to the child having wandered off in some way.
Please tell us where to find her, or put her in a place of safety and let somebody know where she is.
I remember flying over, and I had half of Fleet Street on that aircraft, and I think all the papers, the British tabloids, woke up and thought, this is bigger than anything we imagined. And all the journos came in en masse and just swamped this little village in the Algarve. Population, I think, at the time was just under 1,000 people. And it was, find this child, or find the parents guilty. And that was pretty much the brief that everyone had in the back of their minds, whether it was declared or undeclared. Was she snatched, or did the parents kill her?
There were a lot of different theories that kind of came out about what happened. I know myself, I've seen different things. For example, you know, there were reportings of a man walking near the hotel room carrying a sack that was potentially a child over his shoulder.
It was incredible. I mean, you are talking about something like 500 witnesses, direct witnesses in those early days. You're talking about 40,000 pieces of evidence. I mean, it's incredible, the volume of information that was coming forward. One of the theories that came out was that it was some sort of pedophile ring. Australia even became involved for a while there. There was a Spanish-looking woman with an Australian accent in Barcelona at a yacht charter that was talking about delivering a child, and that became the focus for the investigation, and everyone rushed to Spain to see if they could find this Aussie, because the theory then became Maddie must have been taken on a yacht or a boat. She was taken offshore. That's the only way you could have got out. It just grew and grew and grew as the weeks went on, and then the narrative just went off the scale when the Portuguese police declared Kate and Jerry suspects in the murder.
Please, if you have Madeline, let her come home to her mummy, daddy, brother and sister.
They then looked at the room that the McCanns were staying in, and there was ammonia and cleaning products that were missing from under the sink that were standard in all the apartments. Was that a vital clue? Well, the Portuguese police said yes, it was a vital clue. Did they use those chemicals to clean up? And the number one theory, and again very early on and very unfairly, was that the McCanns accidentally had killed their own daughter by giving her a drug to help her sleep so they could party, and that's what it came down to. And then of course they were able to fly home, which got translated as they fled to try and hide from the authorities, so they would then fight extradition if they were tried to be brought back. It was just incredible, and yeah, that poor family went through a lot of hell in those early weeks, and as we know, some of that went on for months, if not years.
Too many people were running in and out of this apartment. Too many people were bringing their DNA into the place where they were supposed to be looking for other DNA.
One of the critical matters with this case was the site was contaminated from a very early stage. So many people went to the McCann's room with police walking in and out. Things were not done properly in that first instance. I remember one of the big leads were somewhere between 25 and 30 days after Maddie disappeared, they hired a car. Now, when police inspected that car with cadaver dogs trained to find a scent of a corpse, they found evidence in the boot. Now, that was critical, because here was a police sniffer dog, a British police sniffer dog. Scotland Yard came in and with their sniffer dogs found this evidence. And I remember Kate at the time explained it away as being, well, I'm a doctor, there might have been DNA on some of my clothes. And it's like, what, you don't wash your clothes? How is that plausible?
How did that kind of wrap up? Was there any kind of resolution to those findings in the car?
It went for years until only recently when a new suspect popped up.
Christian Bruckner, the main suspect in the case, has been speaking to German investigators.
We have strong evidence that Maddie McCann is dead and that our suspect killed her.
He's in jail on unrelated crimes, and the police are in no rush necessarily to try him for anything else as they continue to build the case on his whereabouts. He was in the area at the time. The car he had at the time was sold off shortly after Maddie disappeared.
Do you think there's a possibility she's still alive?
No, I don't think so. And I think, again, as the months went on and her profile was so huge and she had a very distinctive birthmark, and you remember her eye had a very distinctive blotch, I think she almost became too high profile and a liability to whoever it was that took her in that first instance. But you never know. You never know what could happen. But at this stage, the case remains unsolved.